Welcome to episode 55 of Run It Straight, where we answer your questions about how to get better at rugby league. We don't sidestep the difficult topics, but rather give direct, straight up answers. In essence, we run it straight. Right, let's jump straight in. First question. Should there be a top age / experience preference over bottom age favourites in rep level? No.
Simple. Next question.
Well, look, we can break this up a little bit, as opposed to you said should, as opposed to, well, is. And then the next question is there? And look, it depends on the club and it depends on the current crop of players. You know, there's an old saying that if you're good enough, you're old enough, right? And sometimes a club may feel, the coach, it's probably more of a club decision, that a younger player may be a better overall prospect. So let's say we've got a kid that's 15 and a kid that's 16 and they're both picked in the Harold Matt squad. And let's say that they're both fullbacks. And if you were to rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, they're both an 8.5 out of 10. The club will probably go for the younger player because he's a year younger and he's already at that level, so they feel that his ceiling might be a little bit higher. 12 months' time, when it's his actual age, he might have gone from an 8.5 to a 9 or a 9.5, meaning he's a better player than this other one. Okay, now I'm not saying it's fair. It's not about what's fair and what's not fair. It's simply about what is. You know, the age groups, it's 2 years of eligibility. Most sides are made up of mostly older players, but every now and then a crop will come through, and you do see that at some clubs where it could be 50% of them are from the lower age group.
Yeah.
But you know, there's so many other things that can come into the selection process. It's never a straightforward. This guy's older, so he gets picked.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
And what you'll find with that kind of stuff is Harold Matts, you probably have, you know, the batch of players they have probably would be 17, because the jump from a 16-year-old to a 17 is a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
But for SG Ball, the jump from an 18-year-old to a 19-year-old isn't as big.
They're mostly through puberty at that point.
Exactly. So the jump and the size comparison and everything like that won't be as big. So at that level, if you're good enough, you're going to get picked. But in the junior level, as Joe said, you know, the Harold Matts development age, look, it should still be, if you're better than the other player, you should get picked. But there are circumstances where they would go with the younger player because their prospect and their talent and their ceiling is, you know, could be higher.
And look, and that's even if we're assuming that things are, how would you put it? Teams are being picked based off of just those factors. Because look, everyone knows, and we're not going to sit here and harp on it, but there's definitely nepotism that exists in rugby league, and there's definitely this kid's getting picked because his dad's, you know, a 10 grand sponsor of this Harold Matts or SG Ball side, and his dad's also a trainer, or this uncle used to play for the club, or this whatever. Those things do happen. Now, is it happening with everyone? No, but it does happen often enough. We've seen it often enough. We've seen kids on both sides, and you see, gee, that kid probably shouldn't have gotten picked because this kid's a lot better, and vice versa. And we're sort of, I guess, we've been advocating for people on both sides of the. But age, it's not really relevant. If you're good enough, you should be getting picked. Next question. I'm 13, 61 kilos, 5'4" at 5'8". How do I practice my playmaking by myself? Well, look, I would say playmaking can be various. You've got your actual just ball skills, which is just your passing ability and whatnot. Then you've got sort of like engaging defenders, running lines, creating space, which is kind of like the next level. And then the third level from that is basically control of the side and running the team around the park. You say that's fair, those three things. So, you know, if you're going to break the actual ball skills down, you're looking at 6 o'clock passes and spiral passes and being able to throw decent distances with all of those. You're looking at pop passes like off an X or just a little pop back on the inside, those kinds of things. So first and foremost, there's no point having elaborate set designs and all of these plays if you can't hit the guy who's 7 metres away. If you can't hit him on the chest and put the ball where you need to, forget about all that stuff. There's no good being able to try and engage a defender to create some space if you can't get the ball to the next attacker in the line. So that's where you've got to, and that's kind of, you know, basically from 5s up to 12s, 13s, you're really trying to work on those basic fundamental skills. And then sort of 13s through to 16s is when you're starting to look at, okay, now how can you create a line and how can you bring a guy across to create some space on his outside shoulder for your runner and all of those particular things. You know, engaging defenders and whatnot, overs lines, underlines, all of that kind of stuff. And then we've got control, which is when you're looking to get the team structure, whatever the coach has outlined as the structure, and how do you go about controlling your team and pushing them around the park.
No, and I guess if you want to practice playmaking by yourself, all you need.
I've talked about that before. Shadow structure.
Exactly. The shadow
go down
structure.
to the field.
Yep.
And feel like a bit of a tool and call out what the set is. It does, it works. You call out what the set is and then you get into that exact position. Think about who your front row or your second row is, and if they're running an X from you, go through the motions of doing that. And once you've offloaded the ball to that guy, assume he's into the tackle, every ruck's going to be somewhere between sort of like 4 to 8 seconds. Then you're talking to the next guys and you're telling them where they want to run. Okay, because the whole side will lift the whole level when everyone knows what they're doing. When their role is clear, hopefully the coach has made their role clear what they're supposed to be doing on the field, but when they get into that specific place at that specific time, you want them knowing the second row, okay, all I've got to do is run an X, I'm running a block play, I'm running the front door, I'm running at that line there. And if the halfback or the 5'8's telling him, because usually the half will have one side of the field and the 5'8 will have the other. So you've got to control your edge. But go down to a park, run through those motions, finish it with a kick, go down and just keep going up and down the field and get the repetitions in. If you do 10 or 15 or 20 of those, when you go to do ball work on Thursday night with your club, and you start running through those things, it's going to be really natural. And the boys, they'll follow. On the field, people will follow your leadership if you tell them that. There's nothing worse than a half who's just sitting there quiet. Well, you should know what the play is. The coach is not. No, you've got to tell them.
No, exactly.
Okay, they're fatigued. When people are fatigued, they make bad decisions. So take it out so they don't have to make a decision. You tell them, you're going to run at the second defender, the B defender. You're running his inside shoulder. And the guy's like, good, inside shoulder. And then you can know, I'm just going to try and run and try and pull that A defender across and create some space.
Exactly. And in terms of ball skills, practice, as Joe said, 6 o'clock passes, spiral passes, both feet, passing off the inside, the outside, because you never know what you're going to do in a game. And the beauty with that is it's not very fatiguing. All you need is something to aim at. You don't even need anyone to catch the ball, just aim at it, pass it, throw it, run through. And
I would suggest find somewhere with a chain link fence. Like a soccer field behind it, they have big ones so you can throw the ball, you're not going to lose it. Cricket nets is a big one. Just stick it like a jam, a towel or a piece of paper or something at a particular height, that's your mark, and just throw the ball out. That way, as opposed to, you see some videos online of, I'll throw it at the post, and you throw it at the post, and then it misses the post and it rolls another 15 metres. And you're there for half an hour and you get 20 reps in. Whereas if you're throwing it at a chain link fence, it just bangs straight down, you grab the ball, you'll get double or triple the amount of reps in. So practice your passing skills, practice your shape, running different lines designed to engage defenders, and practice sort of that shadow structure that we talked about. Next question. Is push-pull legs good for strength growth? It depends. Cal?
I mean, any program is good for strength as long as you're implementing progressive overload, no matter what. But in terms of a rugby league specific program and strength growth, it's probably not the best because you're not getting as much recovery as what you should be getting between session to session.
We usually say 4 days a week to lift. Look, you could do, let's say it's off season, and maybe you did push, pull, legs, rest, push, pull, legs. You could probably make that work. But we usually go upper, lower, have a rest, upper, lower, and then have a couple of days rest. That would be what my recommendation. Look, like you said, if you're using progressive overload, if you're using heavy loads, for strength, you'll get stronger with anything initially, but then you want to be edging down to 6 reps and under. Longer rest periods, the old adage of 3 to 5 sets of 3 to 5 reps with 3 to 5 minute rest. If you were to roughly stick with that, make sure you're hitting all of your different movement patterns. So for upper body, horizontal push, horizontal pull, vertical push, vertical pull, and make sure that you're getting squatting movements and then your hip extension or hip hinge movements in. Anything else?
You also got to think, again, holistically here, right? You have to fit in your skill work around it, your speed work around it, your mobility around it.
And that's why we go for 4.
That's why it's 4 days. We generally recommend.
Because what we would suggest, I guess, for most people is, let's say off-season wise, is you're getting your 4 strength sessions in. You're trying to get skill work, which we talked a little bit about a little bit earlier in in this episode that you can do skill work every day because it's not super physically taxing. So you want to be trying to get some skill work in every single day. You want to be doing field session, depending on the individual, 2 to 3 times per week, and that field session is going to be front loaded at the start of it. You're going to have your speed and change of direction. Then you're going to go into your conditioning work. You might have one long slow conditioning session a week. And then on top of that, you're going to have your mobility stuff that you're doing all the time. Was there anything else that I missed?
No, that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, if you're lifting, push, pull legs, and then push, pull legs, that's 6 sessions of resistance training. Doesn't leave a whole lot of time to get in 7 skill, 2 to 3 field sessions, a long slow conditioning, and all of your flexibility and mobility work. That was a quick one. And that's a quick one. That's our last question done.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Cal?
Please like and subscribe. Leave any questions in the comment section below, or please DM the League Fit Academy Instagram page. Joe answers them. He answers about 700 messages a week.
You remembered. Good. As much detail as possible.
Please. And we'll see you next time.
See you in the next one.